Well, the White House looking to tighten corporate defense against cyber attacks following some of the more recent attacks, including Sony Pictures, Home Depot, and other big companies. Joining me now from Washington, D.C. is Mark Serrano, president of Proactive Communications, and Liz McDonald is also here with us as well. Mark, talk about some of the initiatives that are coming out of the White House.
You know, Charles, cybersecurity incidents have gone up 150% since the start of this administration. And unfortunately, the White House is looking at more executive orders and proposing legislation that I think is just going to create more bureaucratic mission creep, which we've experienced thus far from the White House. We really need much more robust leadership. There's this package of 4 bills that was passed in Congress in December. And again, they just deal with administrative protocols and bureaucratic protocols that are not going to get the job done. And corporate America is going to have to take action of their own.
What would you like to see them do? If you had the president's ear, what would you tell him?
Well, I would recommend that what we need to do is encourage corporate America to get into the cybersecurity game if they haven't. And so legislation ought to enable security clearances for cybersecurity executives at our major corporations. I think we need to get a third-party holder of data from both the government and from the private sector that can be entrusted, because the administration is using this excuse that there can't be this sharing of information, and that's causing the bureaucratic mission creep. So I would take real action out of Congress immediately to address this threat with measures like that, enabling national security clearances, creating a clearinghouse, a third-party clearinghouse for data, so we can get past these roadblocks.
What do you think?
You know what's really interesting? You know, I agree with Marcus saying, you know, the president is talking about tougher penalties and the like. What really is interesting, too, is 16 sectors are considered critical infrastructure in the United States. You know, the utilities, water, banks.
Right.
Will Hollywood be considered a critical infrastructure, right, given the Sony hacks, Charles? Yeah. And would that give companies cover in order to basically comply with another executive move from the White House, and that is forcing companies to notify customers if they've been hacked within 30 days of the hack? Companies right now, you saw in the JP Morgan hack, they didn't have to make that disclosure at a time when the SEC is forcing companies themselves to disclose things like their climate change initiatives. The other footnote to that, too, if that rule passes that you have to be disclosed more quickly, and if you've been hacked, will that cover the Obamacare exchanges? Because the Obamacare exchanges get hacked all the time, right?
All right, Mark. Well, here's the one thing that a lot of people just, you know, from a lay person's point of view, it feels like no one wants to step up and pay. Like, you know, you kind of hear the private sector saying, hey, there's a lot of things with these pipes that the government should be paying for. The government saying the private sector should fork over the money. In the meantime, everyone on Main Street saying, golly, all my records are up for grabs, and it's not that hard to take it.
I think they're both right. I think we've poured a lot of taxpayer dollars into the NSA so the NSA can spy on law-abiding citizens in America, and that's the wrong move. I think we've got to shift a lot of those dollars towards this corporate threat because we're only going to see incidents increase as well. But I think corporate America is going to have to start to dedicate their own resources, even internally, to deal with this threat. Look, after Target and Home Depot, which was 15 months ago and a year ago, corporate America, that was their wake-up call, and it was a wake-up call for the White House, but I think they all pressed the snooze button, and that was a huge mistake. We really have got to get past that. But first of all, let's take a look at the NSA.
And the NSA is imploring companies to share more information with them, too.
Well, you know, the problem,
but they don't have immunity either.
The problem, though, is Target's trading at near all-time highs, so they've been allowed to get away with this kind of stuff, and their stock takes a hit for 2 or 3 days and goes back up. Mark, thank you very much. Great insight. Liz, please stay right here.